This might be controversial, but I really wouldn't suggest doing cold emails by yourself in 2024 or 2025. And I say this as a cold email agency owner, right? So I know what I'm talking about. And to preface the argument, it's simply that you will always be outcompeted by agencies like mine. So I work day in and day out to get results for my clients. That means that I work all day, every day to get them results. If you are a business owner that is doing something else than cold email, so whatever service, say you do paid ads, and you're trying to grow client acquisition through cold email, well, you will be outcompeted by me because I will simply put in more reps than you, and over time that compounds, and the progress is simply not the same. Second of all, it's simply that it's getting very expensive to do it, and even though it's maybe cheaper than paid ads at the beginning, long term you are going to need some fail-safe methods. So a very clear example for this is that the deliverability, so essentially the amount of emails that land in spam compared to the amount of emails that land in the inbox, is getting tougher. And when I mean tougher, it's getting crazy tough to get good deliverability. So as a business owner that doesn't do cold email natively, you are, first of all, going to be competing with agencies like me in terms of experience. So you will essentially have no experience, have to learn everything from the get-go, and you will also have to be very technical and learn the technical side to get good deliverability. I think you can see the dilemma here, because most people, when they try to do outreach or automated outreach as a whole, their goal is to have a hands-off approach, right? They don't want to spend too much time on this, blah, 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 right? But if you do it yourself, you are going to have to spend a ton of time because you're spending money, you're going to be spending effort on it, and it's not going to work. And, some things just take 9 months, right? It's not by, this is an analogy that Alex Hormozi uses, but it's not by sleeping with 9 women that you'll get a baby in 1 month, okay? Some things take 9 months. And if you don't have the willpower or the time as a whole to actually get this off the ground, then there is no good reason to actually start doing cold outreach, so particularly cold email by yourself, right? So if you are an agency owner and you're in this situation, there's really 2 options for you. Either don't do outreach as a whole, which comes with its pros and its cons, and I'll lay them out just after. But the second option is to hire an agency, right? Whether that's me, whether that's someone else, doesn't really matter, but hire someone that will do this full time, okay? And preferably not internally, because that is going to take you a ton of time and everything, and they probably won't have experience, so they're counting on you to have the experience, but you don't have it, right? And it's not by having a business for 20 years and it's relying solely off of referrals that you're going to get cold emails to work. Like, it is not the same domain. It's like going from acupuncture to construction, right? These are different industries, and you won't get there any other way than just going the hard way, which is just learning everything that's in between. Anyway, so the pros and cons of actually doing it yourself or hiring an agency. Let's start with hiring an agency. Well, with hiring an agency, you're getting experience, you're getting time back, right? So essentially, the time you would have spent on it will be spent by the agency, so for example me, and you're also getting more efficiency because, generally speaking, if you're going with a reputable agency, they will have had past clients and they will have had the time to systemize their processes, so essentially they'll do everything in order correctly. That being said, the key point to understand is that 99% of those agencies suck, right? Most of them are just starting out or have like fake case studies or whatever, right? So how do you actually quantify which one is right or not? Well, what I generally do myself to prove that I have experience is by literally giving them campaign ideas and putting a ton of emphasis on the offer itself, because that is the most important part. And so, just so you know, we spend around 3 weeks or 2 to 3 weeks just working on the offer, okay? Like, people generally just take 2 to 3 weeks to warm up the emails, and they just lay back for 2 weeks, and then they wake up 2 days before they have to launch the campaign and just try to put everything together. It doesn't work like that. You really have to take time on the offer. So those are the pros and cons, right? You're getting time back, but you're spending money. And one factor is the risk factor, which is that you should go with an agency that is reputable or that you have a good gut feeling about. That being said, final thing on that note is that most agencies that will offer you performance are shit. And generally speaking, you should never go for the cheapest option. And I don't say this because we're not the cheapest option. I don't say this to benefit me or whatever. It's simply common sense. But I don't know why people just have this mindset about lead gen, which is that if you want quality stuff, don't buy the cheapest option, right? Imagine you have, like, this is very true, like in America, fruit stores or like commercial stores or whatever, right? You can buy organic apples, you can buy like non-organic apples or whatever, and you can buy the lab-made apples or whatever, right? Well, there's going to be a price difference between the three. And if you want real high-quality apples that'll be good for you, then you have to take the organic ones, okay? And they will probably cost 3 times as much as the lab-grown ones. But there's a very good reason for that. So going back to my original point, if you want good lead gen, why would you go with the cheapest option? That simply doesn't make sense. And I hope you understand this. If you want quality, which in the end is what you want, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself, you want something that works. And generally speaking, if you just work on the odds and the probability, if you go with something and pay more, the likelihood of you actually getting what you were supposed to get will be higher, because oftentimes there's a reason to justify their price. So that is the pro and cons of hiring an agency. Pro and cons of hiring someone internally or a freelancer or whatever. Internally, you really don't want to do this if you've not done it. Like, I really just wouldn't suggest this this path. I would really suggest going with a professional or like a freelancer that has worked in a past agency or a lead gen agency and is going on his own. Another actually route you could take is partnerships, which might be good. And that is, fully rev share partnerships. But that only works. You will only get qualitative partnerships if you have a good offer, if you have product market fit, stuff like that, right? Because, for example, me as an agency owner, and I would say probably the top 10%, maybe top 5, top 1% of all lead gen agencies out there. Well, I really wouldn't take on a client that, first of all, has never done cold outreach, doesn't have product market fit, and all the factors in between all of that, which essentially mean that he has no experience with cold traffic. I would never do a partnership with them on a rev share basis, because there's a ton of background work that I would have to do that they probably don't realize is necessary. But that is for me to tell them, right? Like, if they're going to try to do this, I have to tell them to do that. We're going to have to go through 10 steps before. But going back to my point, you really don't want to do partnerships if you haven't done cold email before. If you have, or if you have done outreach as a whole, maybe not cold email, but if you do paid ads, then yeah, that is definitely a route worth going through, because there are factors that make sense, right? But going back to the point, hiring a freelancer could be good, but it's far more, it's risky, right? It'll probably be cheaper. Maybe it'll get you results. I would really doubt it. But why not, right? You have to try things, right? And it's not, imagine you got burnt once, it's not because you made a bad decision once. Worst part about making a bad decision is letting that bad decision stop you from making a good decision now, right? So imagine you had a girlfriend in high school and it was a bad decision, you guys broke up and it didn't work out well, right? Are you going to stop having girlfriends for the rest of your life? Are you going to say no to love as a whole? Probably not, right? Because it's worth it in the end. It's just trial and error, right? You have to learn from your mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But that is the same thing in literally all aspects of life. So take this with a grain of salt, of course, but I really wouldn't suggest doing cold emails by yourself in 2025, because you will get completely crushed, not by agencies alone, but also by Google and Microsoft that are breaking down on cold emailers that don't know what they're doing. So that'll probably be you. So I hope you take my advice and try something new, or if you don't want to do cold email, just hire an agency that actually knows what they're doing, because it'll save you time and a ton of effort and a ton of headaches. So I hope that makes sense and was insightful.